Alright, so admittedly, the first 2 episodes of Agatha All Along were really lackluster, but the 3rd episode really kicks things up a notch, and I'm so excited to see where this goes, said no one ever. Hi y'all! SnarkyJay cosplay here. As of the time of this video's recording, the 3rd episode of Agatha All Along has been out for about 2 days now. I've watched it, I've made my notes. I have to give episode 3 a 2 out of 10. I gave episodes 1 and 2 a 4 out of 10 collectively, and I cited Kathryn Hahn's kind of over-the-top but still fun performance as one of the better parts, and I feel like maybe they heard me and just turned that up 6 notches in this episode, and now it's getting annoying. These performances just get worse. The audience for this becomes increasingly more unclear. I mean, I can't tell if this is made for Marvel fans, or wine moms, or people who've just been lobotomized. I am unsure who is deriving pleasure from this series. I'm confused. I think every character in this series wants to be kooky and entertaining, but it also feels like they're competing to make themselves more unlikable than the other person. Agatha is completely unlikable, has very few redeeming qualities, and even Kathryn Hahn can't save that. This episode felt like a tremendous waste of time, and not only that, but it also set up exactly what the next few episodes of this series are going to be, and it doesn't look good. So that being said, 2 out of 10 is what I'm giving this episode. Let's go ahead and get into the episode in itself. So picking up where episode 2 left off, our motley crew of witches are headed down the road. Mrs. Hart, or Sharon, I can't remember which one is her name now, she's freaking out. She wants to call the cops because she's not really meant to be here. Remember, Agatha and these people just roped her into this because Rio wasn't there. The dialogue as this episode gets rolling is basically like a Hallmark movie quality cringe. It feels like every character is trying to outdo the other character, but nobody's doing anything funny or entertaining or charming. So it kind of just feels like 5 people trying to see who can best annoy you. And to be honest, all of them are winning. So right away, 2 things are revealed to us. 1, if you step off the road, the ground starts to swallow you up. That happens to Sharon, Mrs. Hart, whatever, who has a voice when she starts shrieking that really rivals the pleasantness of Gilbert Gottfried.
Help me! Getting lower with people! This has been a very, very, very bad day. Oh my god, it's hard!
I really hope to never hear that again. And also, of course, Teen, who I'm still pretty sure is just Wiccan, Billy, has a sigil placed on him, which means that other people can hear what he's saying, but witchy people just see that symbol over his mouth. So anyway, once Mrs. Hart is rescued from the sludge, a beach house appears, and I actually thought this looked kind of cool because they get suddenly this warm light hitting them, which contrasts with the purple and cold hues that we have behind them. So they walk through the sand and they enter this very Hallmark film looking beach house, and suddenly their attire is changed. They all match the scenery. And within the house, they find an invite to the first trial. It's a riddle, the answer is wine. Everybody then drinks the wine, they have very wine mom dialogue, they complain about the portrayal of witches. It all makes me wonder if I would appreciate this more if maybe I was in my 50s and half drunk, but I also don't see middle-aged women who are half drunk off cheap wine enjoying this either. So I'm just wondering, why is this show being made? Who is it for? Who is this catering to? Why don't I get it? I don't know. Please answer these questions for me, somebody. I'm in shambles. We do get one important piece of dialogue here. Jen tells Teen to beware of Agatha because she traded her only son for the Book of the Damned. Now, if you know anything about Agatha Harkness in the comics, she does have a son named Nicholas. We saw that name written on some awards in episode 1 or 2, I can't recall, but he does eventually become a villain and seeks vengeance on his mother. Now, some operating theories right now are that Teen could be Nicholas instead, but I'm pretty sure they already confirmed that Teen is Billy, so honestly, who cares? So when they chugged the wine, a 30-minute timer started, and now we're at minute 12. They have 12 minutes left on the timer, and to be honest, the timer on my patience pretty much ran out 6 minutes into this episode, so randomly, the faces of these women start swelling up, and they start looking like the Kardashians are gonna look in about another 20 years with all the Botox and filler they keep doing. But Agatha doesn't swell up because she didn't drink the wine. Now, they come to the conclusion that the wine is a very specific type of poison. The swelling is the first step, which eventually goes away. There's going to be hallucinations and all kinds of stuff, and eventually death. So this is the first trial. And it's the trial for the potions witch. She now has to brew an antidote. That is the challenge for this episode. So I want to take a second, take a break from the recap now, to tell you that the entire 40-minute episode is based around this trial. There's several witches, which means every episode of this show is just going to be somebody doing a trial. Do you see the problem with that? This was not fun. This was not entertaining. This felt like a complete waste of time, wasting 40 minutes on a trial of a character who you don't care about and don't really need the backstory for because they're completely irrelevant anyway. It doesn't really feel like a good way to spend probably over $100 million on a series. So what are they doing over? You know what? Okay, let's just keep going. They've all realized that they're going to die soon, and they probably have a little over 10 minutes on that timer to figure out that antidote. But since Agatha didn't drink the wine, they make her drink it because there's something wrong with the spell now. I honestly don't remember exactly what happened. The witches are eventually in shambles. Jen is struggling to complete this antidote. She seems to be forgetting what she needs to do, and right when they have 45 seconds left, Agatha gives her one hell of a pep talk. That seems to take more than 45 seconds, except when they finish, they still have like 15 seconds somehow. I don't know. So lucky for them, the one thing they still needed in the potion was blood, the blood of the unpoisoned. And thankfully, since Teen didn't drink, they are able to slice his hand and use his blood for the antidote. And that's when it becomes drinkable. Now, interestingly enough, Agatha gives us a line about being thankful that Teen is underage, which I get the context, but it just sounds a little bit creepy. They all take the antidote and they shove some into an unconscious Mrs. Hart's mouth. An oven opens, they basically go out through a slide, and when they get to the end of the slide, they find that Mrs. Hart is actually dead anyway because they forgot to pluck one of her hairs for the antidote, which means that the antidote wasn't really made for her, and she's like dead at the end of the episode. I would like to highlight how incredibly unlikable this show continues to make its protagonists, in that this random woman who really hasn't done anything wrong and is like just a civilian, an unfortunate civilian of this town, is now dead because they completely forgot that she was unconscious on a table. And the episode ends there. Story-wise, it makes sense that they killed her off because now Agatha's going to be obligated to call Rio to her coven, and it's probably going to make for great drama, and we're all gonna love Aubrey Plaza. But again, look, this series I realize is not for me. Based on the marketing, you would think that this is for female Marvel fans. You'd think I'd be drinking this up. I said after the premiere I would give it 2 episodes. This is one of 2. To be honest, I feel like it would be stupid to not just finish it because the episodes really do go by kind of quickly. They're like 35 minutes or so, but they're just so boring. They're awful. I really don't care what happens to any of these people. I'd like the show to be over. I don't want them to get what they want. They're all assholes. Why do I want them to win? And that's the problem, is that if you're gonna make a show about a villain, then you need to make that villain somebody that people want to root for at some point, whether you love to hate them or you hate to love them. You've got to have a little bit of sauce there. And there's no sauce here. It's like spoiled milk, basically. So yeah. 2 out of 10, that's the best I can give it. 2 out of 10 for spoiled milk, I think, is pretty generous. And that's all from me. I've been SnarkyJay. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. For more SnarkyJay, be sure to check me out on Instagram. And if you'd like to support me, this channel, and my content creation, do check out and consider subscribing to my Patreon for exclusive photo shoot sets and cosplay content. I will add links to all of those in the description below. And let me know your thoughts on the 3rd episode of Agatha All Along in the comments below.